Sybil Snake, I'm wide awake, watch me as I dance. To and fro, high and low, now you're in a trance. Hi, my name is Sarah Brennan and I am the author of the Chinese Calendar Tales and the Dirty Stories for primary school age children. I started writing when I was a kid, as most writers do. I was about 7 years old and I fell in love with Dr. Seuss. And I wanted to be Dr. Seuss, or I wanted to marry Dr. Seuss. And so I started writing poems because I realised from his work that you can play with words.
Rules rhymes with stools. And I'm a poet if you didn't already know it.
Then I came with my husband to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a place where dreams come true. And I stopped being a lawyer and I got my first children's books published. They were very popular with the kids and they thought they were great fun, but I felt uneasy because I was in schools with kids who were largely Chinese or of Asian extraction, so I decided that I was going to write something for these kids, something that was relevant to their culture, relevant to their history. And so I wrote the story of a dragon who lived by the side of the South China Sea, whose name was Chester Choi, who ate children. And the kids loved them.
I love reading Sarah's books because they're funny, cute, and the sentence is right.
And the books just flew off the shelves in the shops as well. I thought, well, I think I'm onto something here. Because you see, there's not that many books out there that are about Chinese culture and history for kids in the English language. And there's also even fewer that are funny. I and Harry Harrison, the illustrator, we do funny.
Can anyone tell me the name of that bow?
I'm a strong believer that if you tickle children's funny bones, then you get them listening. And when you get kids listening, you get them learning.
And that might be a horse.
And you find if you look at our books that there's a lot of black humour.
Did the emperors of ancient China wear false teeth?
Yes, yes. In the picture, there's another tooth there.
Harry Harrison, who does the wonderful pictures in this book, always loves putting in a joke.
Harry Harrison's pictures are like amazing.
So I immediately published another book, and that was The Tale of Run Run Rat, who was born in a country village in China, who travels around China and who ends up at the Beijing Olympics. I was so surprised because as soon as that book hit the bookstores, it became Hong Kong's #1 children's bestseller, and then Chester Choi was #2 and Harry Potter was #3, and that lasted for 6 whole weeks. And so that's when I decided to write a story for every animal of the Chinese zodiac. Finally we got to my book for this year, which I'm very thrilled about, which is The Tale of Sybil Snake.
My favourite part in Sybil Snake is the part where Sybil is a human because it's very mysterious.
What I've been doing with these stories, the more I've written them, the more I've been getting into Chinese history.
The Silk Road.
It's absolutely fascinating, and the more I learn, the more I want to tell children about it.
Traded goods all the way from the Middle East and from Turkey, all the way through to China and back again.
So for me, it's become a bit of a mission. I really want kids to know about Chinese history and culture. It's not just because it's fascinating, but also it's really essential that kids know a bit about this amazing civilization.
Wu Zetian was the only woman emperor of China. She was one of the best, fairest, kindest, nicest emperors China ever had.
It's really important that they know the context for the story and they can recognise those elements of history as I read the story.
The rising moon within a willow glade.
I like getting the kids actively involved. So for example, with the Tale of Sybil Snake, the snake has this nasty habit of going and I get all the kids to join in. And then when a beautiful, strange woman mysteriously appears, she has the habit of going shh, and the kids do that too. We've also got a very funny part in the story where I like getting the kids doing a little bit of kung fu karate. The kids absolutely love that. Well, my books are aimed at primary school age children. There's a bit of a range though, with books like The Tale of Run Run Rat, The Tale of Chester Choi. They're very much for the younger 4 to 7-year-olds, but for the kids really to appreciate the story, to appreciate the history, and also to love the language.
By hypnotising.
That's right.
then it's upper primary I'm looking at, which are kids from about sort of 7 going up to about 12 years of age. It's quite interesting with these books. They do buck market trends, because I find when I have a look at who's buying my books, there's a bit of a bias in favour of boys, which is a little bit different because these days everyone's worried about boys stopping reading. I think the reason why boys love these books so much
Enjoy, sweetheart.
is because they are in verse, and that's really good for kids who are reluctant readers. If you write in verse, they find it predictable, it's like a song, and therefore it's easier to read. Another special feature of my books is that I make no attempt to dumb down the language.
You are banished from my sight.
You see, I believe that kids will take on board whatever words you throw at them.
A decade.
And I'm proud to say that one teacher even rang me one day to say that one of her grade 4 students had correctly used the word supercilious in class, all because she heard it in one of my books.
They were very informative, and as a teacher I do a lot of story reading, and I learnt a lot of tips.
Children are always asking me which of your books is your favourite, and I always say to them, would you ask a mother which of her children was her favourite? Because you see, when you're an author, your books are your children, and I couldn't possibly choose between them. I love them all, but for different reasons, but I'm usually the most protective of my baby, which is of course this year The Tale of Sybil Snake. Something a bit different about my books is that they're really, truly international. We've got me, I'm an Australian writer. I'm living here in Hong Kong with my French husband. My design team are Canadian and Chinese. And then my artist is someone who grew up in Libya, lived in England for a lot of his life, and is now living here in Hong Kong. Well, I've clearly got a job ahead of me. I've written my horse book. I have to do a book for every single animal in the Chinese zodiac. So I'm going to be very busy up to 2019.